Para tiempo de elecciones, la bondad los alborota. Si pierden, se olvidan fácil, lágrimas en otros brotan.
Con promesas y mentiras nos quieren cebar el mate, buscan que el pueblo no piense, no les conviene el debate.
Encerrado en oficinas, soñando en el parlamento, a un lado hacen la mirada, chamullan con su dialecto, almas negras como cuervos. Nos quieren comer enteros y nos siguen engordando como pavo pa'l puchero. Odiosos son los que llegan y gobiernan nuestro suelo. Desde arriba ya no miran, que ya se reclamó el pueblo.
¿Para qué gastar saliva si no te prestan oídos? No voy a cantar por ellos, grito y lucho por los míos.
No les importa a la gente si son la contra o los fieles, solo piensan cómo hacerse un abrigo con sus pieles. Almas negras como cuervos nos quieren comer enteros y nos siguen engordando como pavo pa'l puchero. Sí, señor, muchísimas gracias.
Son para mi pueblo, son para mi pueblo, son para mi pueblo, son para mi pueblo, son. Yo solo canto a mi pueblo, porque del pueblo es mi voz, del obrero el campesino, de todo el pueblo trabajador. Es el motor de mi canto, el alma de mi canción. Un son para mi pueblo, 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 un son. Yo le canto esa simiente que en la lucha concretiza y hace el futuro presente, la juventud sandinista que con su ejemplo me inspira y madura en esta canción. Un son para mi pueblo, un son revolución, un son para mi pueblo, un son producción, un son para mi pueblo, un son para mi pueblo, un son. ¡Ay! Y si alguien quiere aprender cómo un pueblo se organiza, que eche un ojo a las milicias, que nadie va a detener, porque aquel pueblo escribió su mejor canción. ¿Cómo? El compañero Harold González en el saxofón. Sabor. pueblo, son para mi pueblo. El compita Neymar Serrano de Monimbó, son para mi pueblo, son para mi pueblo. Ahora nos llega el compañero Sixto Cajina para mi pueblo, Chelo. Ay, ay, ay. Son para mi pueblo un 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 son más total. Bueno, y ahora nuestro pueblo le dedica un son irreversible a la contrarrevolución. Allá va, adelante, allá va. Dale duro. Ahí te va.
Santa María, Madre de Dios, del cielo, santificado sea tu nombre. Santa María, Madre de Dios,
Son las 3 de la mañana, dicen que pena un santero, bajito y oigo que dice:
camínale despacito y mamá, camínale despacito.
Mi sueño me dice no vaya, mis piernas me dicen tantito, y cuando ya me doy cuenta, caramba, me muevo poco a poquito, ay mamá, me muevo poco a poquito. Será tu Zapata el que escucho aquí, con tu luz perpetua que en tus ojos vi. En mi mente se oye que me dice así.
En mi mente se oye que me dice así.
Por la sombra de la ceiba se escuchó un disparo y cayó un gallo negro por la calle de Milagros. Si tú dices que me quieres con el todo al todo
Y te vas tú conmigo,
levantamos polvo. Ay, 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 cuando sueño contigo se dibuja el sereno por todo mi camino. Ay, 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 cuando sueño contigo no hay ni miedo ni duda sobre mi destino. ¡Epa, mi señor del rayo! Zapata.
Del sur al norte y del norte al sur.
Celso Piña y Totó la Momposina.
son las 3 de la mañana. Dicen que pega un santito, bajito yo oigo que dice:
despacito, ay mamá, camínale despacito. Mi sueño me dice no vayas, mis piernas me dicen tantito, y cuando ya me doy cuenta, caramba, me muevo poco a poquito, ay mamá, me muevo poco a poquito. Será tu Zapata el que escucho aquí, con tu luz perpetua que en tus ojos vi. En mi mente se oye que me dice así, que en mi mente se oye que me dice así. Por la sombra de la ceiba se escucha un disparo y cayó un gallo negro por la calle de mi lado. Si tú dices que me quieres con el todo al todo y te vas tú conmigo, levantamos polvo. Ay, 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 cuando sueño contigo se dibuja el sereno por todo mi camino. Ay, 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 cuando sueño contigo no hay ni miedo ni duda sobre mi destino. Ay, si no bailas no gozas, si no gozas no comes. Ay, ay.
Somos la garganta de América, el nuevo canto de América. El puño cerrado, el grito organizado, el sol venciendo a la tormenta. Somos el vientre de América, el nuevo sueño de América. La guerra decidida, firme y combativa contra el águila imperial. Somos el centro de América, la más reciente esperanza. Tierra de volcanes en actividad, somos solidaridad. Somos el centro de América, la más reciente esperanza. La misma sangre, el mismo sentir, patria libre o morir. Somos la garganta de América, el nuevo canto de América. El puño cerrado, el grito organizado, el sol venciendo a la tormenta. Somos el vientre de América, el nuevo sueño de América. La guerra decidida, firme y combativa contra el águila imperial. Somos el centro de América, la más reciente esperanza. Tierra de volcanes en actividad, somos solidaridad. Somos el centro de América, la más reciente esperanza. La misma sangre, el mismo sentir, patria libre o morir. Si Nicaragua venció, El Salvador vencerá. Y Guatemala prepara ya mil fusiles de libertad. Somos el centro de América, somos el nuevo amanecer. somos el centro de América, somos el nuevo amanecer. Si Nicaragua venció, El Salvador vencerá. Y Guatemala prepara ya el fusiles de libertad. Somos el centro de América, la más reciente esperanza de América. Si Nicaragua venció, El Salvador vencerá. Y Guatemala prepara ya el fusiles de libertad. Somos el centro de América, somos el nuevo amanecer. Somos el centro de América, somos el nuevo amanecer.
Navegando, navegando por el río, yo guardo muchos recuerdos que abruman mi pecho herido. Yo guardo muchos recuerdos que abruman mi pecho herido. Oh, navegando por el río, navegando, navegando, navegando por el río. Cuando la noche es oscura, no se ve brillar la luna. Lo mismo le pasa a mi alma cuando le falta la lluvia. Lo mismo le pasa a mi alma cuando le falta la lluvia. Navegando, navegando, navegando por el río. Navegando, navegando, navegando por el río.
Buenos días a todos nuestros hermanos y hermanas. Bienvenidos al Parque Chicano, a un lugar sagrado porque desde hace 47 años aquí comenzó la danza azteca de los Estados Unidos. De aquí a Los Ángeles, San Francisco, Denver, por todos los lados se expandió, pero aquí es la raíz. Y por eso para nosotros recibirlos a ustedes con danza es algo muy importante y muy sagrado. Porque lo que están haciendo ustedes, no cualquier persona lo hace. Tener el orgullo y tener la fuerza de ser un guerrero, una guerrera en este día es difícil, porque todos nos juzgan en Facebook y en Instagram, todos nos juzgan en la televisión, pero lo importante es quiénes nos juzgan allá arriba, nuestras ánimas, nuestros antepasados que nos han legado estas tradiciones, son los que verdaderamente cuentan para juzgarnos. Entonces lo que están haciendo ustedes, venir desde lejos para no protestar y no quedarse encabronados, enojados, sino apoyar a los niños, las niñas, que no porque ellos escogieron este destino, esta vereda, sino que aquí están. Y tenemos que darles todo lo que se le pueda dar a una persona inocente. Pero acuérdense que esos niños son inocentes y siempre tenemos que tener ese corazón nosotros de inocencia en todo lo que hacemos. Que tengan buen día y que Dios los cuide en su camino hacia sus casas, y ojalá que nos veamos aquí para el próximo Chicano Park Day, que el año que viene, si Dios quiera, vamos a estar en carne y hueso y no en Zoom. Él es Dios. If you live in California, you should speak Spanish. I've been asked to translate, and I just want to say, because I don't remember what I said. It sounded good though, but I just want to welcome you to Chicano Park, a very sacred place, because 47 years ago, this was the first place that Danza Azteca was danced in the United States. There have been other people who had come from Mexico to Chicago, to the Wisconsin Dells in the summer, and to the New Mexico State Fair. But they came, they danced, they got their money, and they went back home. They took back a lot of feathers, they took back a lot of materials. But it wasn't until Andres Segura and Florencio Yescas came and said, you guys need to learn your tradition. Because many of us were going to the Lakota, to the Hopi, to the Sioux, to the Kiowa, to the Kumeyaay, Shumish, to learn our traditions. And the elders would say, well, these aren't your traditions. Why don't you go to Mexico and learn your traditions? Many of us were afraid because we didn't speak Spanish. So right here, 47 years ago, the seed for our danza has spread throughout the United States. I always tell people, wherever there are Chicanos, there is Aztlán. It's not a place, it's a state of mind, it's a state of your heart. And so thank you for coming all the way from your homes to show support for these children, because they're innocent. They're just pawns in this worldwide web of empires pushing each other back and forth. So what you do with a clean heart, a spiritual heart, an innocent heart, will be paid back 1,000-fold, not just to those children, but to you and your families. So we wish you a safe trip home. We hope that you get back home and find your families doing well. And we thank you again for that sacrifice that you've done for these children, for our children, for our community, and for this land. Because remember, from the tip of Alaska to the tip of South America is one America. There are no boundaries in our indigenous ways. So thank you.
You wanna come in a little bit closer so that you can be secure. Hello, can you hear me?
Hello, there you go.
Well, hello, and welcome to Chicano Park. ¡Que viva Chicano Park!
¡Que viva!
¡Que viva Chicano Park!
¡Que viva!
¡Que viva Chicano Park!
¡Que viva!
We honor you for coming all the way from the north to the south to be with us here today at Chicano Park. This is the 51st anniversary of Chicano Park. We are celebrating all week, and we honor you as you finish your caravan to the children. Uncage, reunite, and heal, as we all should, because we're living through this terrorist environment that tears our kids apart from their parents in order to live. The bottom line, in order to live, because where they're coming from is very difficult. Otherwise, they wouldn't walk all that way. What does this country think? People don't just get up and leave because they want to go someplace and hang out. They want to live. They want to prosper. People don't just give their kids away. They don't just allow their kids to go to another country. They want the best for their kids. And we should be accommodating. We should have policies that are humane rather than locking up our children. We thought the last couple of administrations were bad on these kids. We're still dealing with it. And we at Chicano Park, we honor all of you for coming, for coming on this caravan, Caravana de Amor, as I was told. Porque necesitan amor estas niñas y estos niños que están aquí por nosotros, por la vida. There's many people here at Chicano Park that can't be with us today. So we're tasked with honoring you, welcoming you. We have the young and the old. This is a history of struggle. This is an environmental justice history here. This community has suffered and continues to suffer by bad policies. It's because they don't think much of us. So I encourage all of you on this caravan, especially the younger generation, get involved. Get into positions where you can make a choice to benefit your community. So many kids are growing up without the knowledge of our history. We have to teach each other because they're not teaching us in schools. Yes, there's a mandate of ethnic studies, but they've watered it down. Many of the people that were on the committee have stepped back because they've watered it down. So yes, there's ethnic studies to teach about our history, but we have to teach our own history. We have to teach each other. We have to teach our kids. We have to sit with our elders to listen because they're dying from this dumb disease that's out there. We wouldn't be here with all our masks if it wasn't so horrific. Hopefully it'll stop soon and we can all be together in a good way. We honor you, and we're honored that you're here at the park. And I'd like to give a word to my colleague here. This is Lucas, and this is Patricia, and they're carrying the mantle on for the next generation.
Yeah, so my name is Lucas Cruz. I'm a proud lifelong member of the Chicano Park Steering Committee. And again, I just want to thank you all and welcome you on to Chicano Park. This is the most perfect space you could start a protest at. You know, historically, this park, whether people knew what they were going to or not, it always starts here, actions. We had a huge blowout when the immigration policies were changing before, and students, they all just started going out of school and they didn't know where to go, but they came here to the park because this park is sacred. It gravitates that type of energy. And I want you all to carry that mantra of Chicano Park today and never forget this is our land. It's always been our land. It is not ours in the ownership sense, but it's ours and our responsibility to make sure we facilitate and care for it, for the people, for the next generations, for the kids that are trying to come here for a better life with their families. We have to keep that spirit alive. It's up to us because, as Josie said, our history gets perverted. They distort it. They feed you what they want you to know. They'll make it easier so that way they want you to fall within their lines. They don't want to teach you about Corky Gonzalez. They don't want to teach you about Reyes Tijerina. They don't want to teach you about the activists before that have fought and fought to the end of their last breath for us to be able to have what we have today. And that's what we always have to remember is everything before that we have now was fought for. So we have to continue that for the next generation and lift that bandera high and proud. So once again, thank you all for coming here to Chicano Park. And I'm going to pass it on to Patricia.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Patricia Cruz. I am a Chicano Park Steering Committee member and also a muralista here. I'm just really excited about the work that you're doing. We are a border city and we feel the pain of that border all the time. And to see activists that are coming out and doing the work that you're doing from a different space than San Diego is really exciting, and I admire that very much. So thank you for being here.
I would like to, before I pass it over to Victor, can you still hear me? Is it on? Yes. I just want to acknowledge a couple of people that are here. Olga Talamante, I've known off and on over the years for about 50 years. Ani, thank you for contacting us. We know you're from here. Maria Garcia, who's been writing our history. We have a new book, and it's called We Made San Diego. And she has spent the last couple of years documenting all of the elders in this community and putting it into a publication. And the last one I'd like to acknowledge, there's many more. My sister-in-law, Clarita, part of the Royal Chicano Air Force, who came down from Sacramento. And there's many more of you here in the audience that I'd like to acknowledge. But I want to thank you once again on behalf of the Chicano Park Steering Committee and the future Chicano Park Museum and Cultural Center that will be in that building the next time you come. So I'm going to turn it over to Victor Ochoa. No, we're going to stay here, I think. I don't know. Bonnie? Are we going to... I wanted to thank the Danzantes because they've been here all along, and I'll turn it over to B. But again, thank you on behalf of the Chicano Park Steering Committee and the future Chicano Park Museum and Cultural Center.
Hi, everyone. So we're going with the flow. There's a program of speakers here, and then we're going to look at one of the murals. One of our lead muralist, Chicano muralist, Victor Ochoa, is here. And I think it's important to have a moment with that mural once we're done. as we're going into our cars, we're going to definitely make sure that we give a moment and space to share that story. Is that okay with you if we do it that way? Awesome. He approves it. We're on. Bueno, buenos días, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Annie Rivera. My name is Annie Rivera. I am the executive director of Galería de la Raza, a sister organization of this community. And I am also a product of this community. I was born and raised in San Diego, the first formative years of my life in this barrio, Barrio Logan, a block and a half away from Parkyland, when it was still here. So it is really an honor as somebody that benefited from El Movimiento, from protecting his children, from creating art to heal, to come back full circle and be able to welcome and be part of this caravan of love, of resistance, of healing. And so growing up, you know, art was what saved us. These walls what gave us our history. We've heard Josie talk about that. They're not teaching us our stories, our histories in our schools. And this was our school. This is where we came to learn the color, the symbols. It's the sacred space, and all communities we should have this. And that's why we're here, because all these children that are detained have to have this joy. You know, we started this caravan when we heard the report from the ACLU to liberate 666 children. And the call came from Olga Talamante. When Olga asks you to do something, you do it. You line up and you report. And it's been an amazing process to also work with our sister organizations in San Francisco, like Instituto Familiar de la Raza, that provides mental health services, like Caravan, the Central American Family Resource in San Francisco, that provides direct support and works specifically with this Central American community, with Chicana Latina Foundation that provides scholarship and leadership development to Latinas in you know, pursuit of a higher degree. And I think it's all about how do we all come together and really do what we do best and work together. And we have had elders, we've had examples. And so we knew we needed to come to the border. We knew we needed to come to where the actual, la herida está constantemente. Sabemos que las personas, ustedes que están aquí, trabajan día y noche y tienen un compromiso con estos niños. Y nosotros estamos en el norte, en sus corazones, pensando en sus corazones, apoyando su trabajo, sabiendo que en algún momento estos niños van a llegar con nosotros, con estas organizaciones que nos juntamos, que son la red de apoyo, que son la comunidad que va a sanar. Entonces, se me pasó uno de los proyectos que es parte de la caravana, el Latinx Racial and Equity Project, que también ha sido indispensable en el trabajo que estamos haciendo, hablando de how to dismantle the isms of all of it. This is part of it. So I just want to say that this is, although we come here and protest, today is a call of love. Look around you. Like literally just look around you. Turn around and look at who's here. Somehow or another, we're connected. Coming back here to San Diego with this project was also reconnecting with like-minded people that we know we share this story, this history, this way of life. Because there's no coincidence. We've been part of the Raza movement. You know, Galería de la Raza, Instituto Familiar de la Raza, Centro Cultural de la Raza, Chicano Park, you know, the Royal Chicano Air Force. We've got also self-help graphics. You know, they've all been part of how do we use culture to change, to shift culture, to make sure it's reflective of who we are. So it's a blessing to be here. I'm honored. I'm so honored as a born and raised kid that played handball with my father over there to be here. So yeah, that's it. I don't know. I'm going to hand it over to my fearless colleague, the cool as a cucumber and gets things done, Gloria Romero, the director of Instituto Familiar de la Raza.
Buenos días. And I thank you for welcoming us here for the blessing that we had, the prayers that we had. That's gonna guide us in our work, not only today, but all the work that's ahead of us. And I'm also very honored to be here as we celebrate the 51st anniversary of community self-determination and resiliency, and just being here in this sacred space with all of you. Gracias. Gracias. And I'm also here to express our support and our commitment, because as a city in San Francisco, in San Pancho, Frisco, we have a responsibility for those children, for our children, to receive them with dignity, with love and respect. And so we come here today, we come strong, we come deep from Frisco. And I have here a delegation of our elected officials that I'd like to just recognize and acknowledge that are here with us today, made this journey with us today. They knew how important it was to come in person and to be here with all of you. And so I'd like to, we have our Board of Supervisors here. And we have the president of our Board of Supervisors, Shaman Walton. We have Supervisor Hillary Ronan. We have Supervisor Matt Haney. We also have representation from Supervisor Mirna Melgar. And our children. Where's Gabriela? We have our president of our school board, who's charged to take care of our children and to educate our children, and Gabriela is our fierce leader there. And I thank you for being here with us today too. So I just wanted to thank you all, and thank you, Ani, for acknowledging all the coalitions that came together. And as she said, when Olga calls you to action, you are there. You just sign me up. We knew that we needed to come together. So I've just been honored to co-chair the Caravan for the Children with you, Olga. And I'd like to turn it over now to Larissa Dugan Cuadra, who's the executive director of one of our coalition organizations, Carecen, to share some words with you.
Gracias, Gloria. Buenos días. ¿Cómo estamos? ¿Qué queremos? Otra vez, ¿qué queremos? Vamos. ¿Qué queremos? Justicia para nuestros niños, dignidad, respeto a los derechos humanos. Thank you, Chicano Park. Thank you, San Diego activists, for your love for our people. I'm Larissa Dugan Cuadra. I'm the executive director of the Central American Resource Center, Carecen, in San Francisco. We're one of the historical Central American institutions, along with Carecen LA, Carecen DC, Centro Romero in Chicago, Centro Presente in Boston, Alianza Americas, and all these institutions that Central Americans, through our struggles, have founded in this country to respond to our people. Because we all know that nothing gets handed to us, right? Todo lo que tenemos, including this beautiful park, is stuff that we have to fight for. We claimed, and we painted, we made it beautiful. That's what we do, right? We make this country beautiful. We contribute our art, our culture, our patrimony to this country. And those children are the future. And so how we treat them today is how our future is going to turn out mañana. And we know that we have to defend them. So again, first and foremost, thank you, San Diego, Southern Cali, sisters and brothers, for welcoming us in your sacred space. It's such an honor to be at Chicano Park, my first time here. But as a good ethnic studies and Raza studies student, we all learned about Chicano Park. So I feel so blessed to be here today, because we know Chicanos and Raza in the U.S. has always been in solidarity with Central America through our wars, through our poverty, through our hurricanes, through our political thieves, the impunity that we have to endure in our countries that we also live here. Because what's happening to black and brown lives in this country is impunity. It's a lack of justice. And that's why they think they can get away with it. So bueno, rápidamente, on behalf of the Central American community, we want to say thank you. We want to affirm, we're here to affirm our love and our commitment to our people. Because again, nothing has been handed to us. And those elected officials who are here with us from San Francisco, they're from us, with us, by us. Del pueblo, para el pueblo, con el pueblo. So thank you, our elected officials. I noticed some representatives here from San Diego as well. And so again, we're here to affirm the right to justice. And we're here also to extend our solidarity and our appreciation for the sisters over here who yesterday and Sunday, their only day off in the last 3 weeks since they opened that convention center, came out to meet us. And they took time away from their children, time away from resting, porque esta lucha no tiene descanso, right? So thank you, sisters, for joining us last night and for educating us about what's happening out here. And we want to take a moment to say, you know, the convention center, and this is not, the press doesn't put this in the headlines, right? And that's why we're here also, to combat the headlines, to shift the narrative towards a narrative of justice and resilience. No son pobrecitos, son fuertes. There is not a stronger person on this earth today than those children. And so we're here to affirm the resilience and the power of our people. And when we lock arms, Chicanos, Centroamericanos, Mexicanos, Haitianos, Africanos, Chinos, all of our community, when we lock arms, we're a force to be reckoned with. So we're here to lock arms, to affirm our love, and to continue the struggle for human rights and justice. Thank you so much. And on behalf of Centroamericanos de nuevo, I will take the license as a good Nicoya to say thank you, San Diego, for what you're doing for our community. We love you.
Gracias, Larissa. And we actually want, you know, we were able to talk last night and yesterday and the critical work that's happening by community for a community. And that round-the-clock care and the love that is being given to the children, that is so important. And so I wanted to welcome Kathy Lemel from South Bay Community Services to be able to come share with us about your amazing work. And actually, and then,
oh, Lisa. So I've always said that nobody does any kind of work, especially good work, without really good partners. And there are 6 community-based organizations from San Diego in the convention center, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And Lisa Cuesta from Casa Familiar, the CEO, actually a lot of times spends the night. So that's the kind of commitment. Monty Jones from Logan Heights CDC has spent many an overnight there. And people have just come together, the community agencies. And they say to us it's the best run shelter in the country, and I think it's because of the organizations that are in there that have always been working with young people and working for really justice in the community.
Gracias, Kathy. I wanna acknowledge that Kathy didn't hesitate to accept a really difficult charge. She called us all yes. I didn't know what I was signing up for. I just knew that we needed to come together to remind ourselves that we need to acknowledge that we've been losing humanity and we need to rebuild humanity. And it's only when we come together that we can do that. Y le quiero dar mucho amor y reconocimiento a mis compañeras right here. Suben la mano. So, ellas son las fuerzas, trabajan con los jóvenes y con Kathy's team, I don't think they ever sleep as to how much and how hard our familias, because we work so much together. They're familia, and I've gained such a love and respect for this woman, and with organizations that I have known and respected for a long time. But we will never be the same. We are marked forever. And we need to use that, continue to build this movement, continue to uncage, reunify, and heal, because we all will need to heal by the end of this. And we all need to make sure that policy continues to move in a way where those children have an education, those children have access to mental health services, and have access to love. It doesn't matter what the hell or where the hell you came from, but above all, we need to build love. So thank you. Y los quiero mucho a ustedes because you guys are doing fucking hard work. Los quiero mucho. And you give me hope. Y esas niñas me dan mucho esperanza, because se habla todos los ojos. And so I want you to continue to share that. And we're carrying this. And Kathy is carrying such a burden right now. And I'm so glad she hasn't retired, because she's been at this work for a long time. And thank you for the support, porque hay veces que no se siente, sometimes you don't feel the love, and this was good to take this time and space for it. Gracias. Thank you for all your critical work and all the love that you're sharing with the girls and their younger siblings as well. Gracias. And I also wanted to call Pedro Rios to be able to share some words, who's doing incredible, critical trans-border work.
¿Qué tal? Desde Berlín. Buenos días, raza, ¿cómo están? Qué bueno. Voy a explicarles un poco acerca de lo que se vive en un centro de detención de la patrulla fronteriza. So I'm going to share a little bit about what happens and what people live through at a Border Patrol facility. And so it's important to know, though, that Border Patrol has been operating since 1924. And so what we see in terms of the separation of families today, the cruel treatment of children that gets reported in the news, is not anything new. It's decades old of a history of legacy of white supremacy that crushes and attempts to crush the soul of those that are seeking asylum and refuge in this country. And so when we see that children are walking by themselves, we have to ask why. And right now the answer is that this current administration is implementing the extension of militarizing our communities, militarizing the borderlands, by continuing to implement something known as Title 42. And Title 42 is the application of the CDC order that allows Border Patrol to summarily remove people from the country without respecting their basic due process rights, guaranteed under the 14th Amendment and guaranteed through international accords and agreements that this country has signed and is now violating on a daily basis. So what's happening right now is that many parents are making the very difficult decision of saying, do I attempt to cross with my children and then get pushed back into Mexico? Or should I send them by themselves, where at least there will be the guarantee that the children will remain here in the U.S.? And important also to clarify that the destabilization that's taking place in countries of origin is a direct result of this imperialist border regime that we've seen for decades as well. So the U.S. has blood on its hands each time that children are getting killed and murdered. And where Victor will take you, the mural that's out there, you'll see the images of the children that have been now painted forever, hopefully to remind us of why we continue to do this struggle. And so in speaking to a friend who was detained at the Border Patrol station in San Isidro, this is what she told me. that every single day she was there for 2 weeks, that she would hear how Border Patrol agents would hit people at around 1 in the morning, mainly men, would degrade young women who were pregnant, tell them that the only reason they came here was to have their children here, and would tell them that they were lying when they were saying that they were fleeing violence. And they were given food that was half-frozen burritos every single day, that all of them had intestinal problems as a result of the food that they were being fed. And this happens every single day, that Border Patrol is violating the laws that say that they cannot be held for more than 72 hours for those that are not Mexican. They have a term for that, it's called OTMs, other than Mexican. For Mexican, the minors, afuera, every single day. In fact, on the average, monthly average, there are 495 children that are apprehended by Border Patrol. Yesterday, the number was 450. So the children that are arriving infected by COVID here to the convention center are being infected at the Border Patrol facilities because they don't have the mechanisms to test people, and they've denied allowing doctors to go in to test them even for the flu. So while we call on the importance to abolish ICE, while we take an abolitionist perspective, because I believe that some of these agencies, most of them that are enforcing these immigration laws, cannot be reformed, we also have to question the legacy of brutality, where brutality has been the methodology. In fact, the Border Patrol station in Tucson was purposefully placing people in stress positions, torturing people, as a way to make them decide to sign the voluntary departure forms. Death has always been part of the calculus that was instilled since the mid-90s as part of the Operation Gatekeeper program. They expected death to be a deterrent, and when they instituted the policy of kicking everyone out, when Jeff Sessions came to Friendship Park here in San Diego and announced a zero-tolerance policy, they expected that to end in death as well. And we saw that. We saw how children died in Border Patrol custody. So I want to finish up by applauding the fact that all of you came down from the north to listen to the testimonies. You went down to Tijuana yesterday to listen to testimonies, and that you take this message. I know you're going to DC. Take this message to the policymakers who want to pretend that the borderlands are not filled, that are not dynamic, that are not filled by millions of people who call this place home, and that we deserve to be treated with dignity, that those that are the most vulnerable deserve to be treated with respect, and that we will continue to struggle until that becomes our daily bread. Thank you so much.
And we know that this work requires countless hours of dedication and time, commitment, and it requires resources. And I'd like to invite our next speaker, who's the Caravan for the Children's, one of our lead friends, supporters, who provided fiscal love to this effort. I'd like to welcome Cristian Arana from Latino Community Foundation.
Well, great, thank you so much. Again, I just want to echo everything that's already been said. I know we provided fiscal love, but we just call it love, right? Because when one got called, we picked up immediately. And then we moved the money, the resources. I know our CEO went to the Caravan kickoff in San Francisco. I'm also proud to be here as well. So I'll just make one other mention, something that hasn't been said yet. I know there's been a recognition of the Bay Area elected officials here, but there is another Bay Area person who's not here, and that's the Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris, right? This is an issue that she is now leading, and I know she's headed off to Mexico and Central America very soon, and I wish her luck, I wish her well. I know she's gonna meet with a lot of very, very important people there, but I also encourage her to listen and speak with the children who are coming here to this country for a better life. Those are the most important stories and the most important perspectives that she needs to hear. So Well, we're here today to raise awareness, to take action, to spread love, right? From here all the way to the Bay. We're going to take that message to DC, and I really encourage the Vice President, a proud daughter of Oakland, proud daughter of the Bay Area, to meet with you all, right? Because you have learned so much. You'll all learn so much, and there's a lot to be shared, right? And I know in due time, she will hear you. Thank you very much.
Well, it wouldn't be a gathering in Chicano Park if we didn't have music, if we didn't have Floricanto here as well. So I want to talk about a little bit just in context of who's going to be performing next. Part of this campaign was to, extend the net and really have voices that were reflecting what, responding to the situation. And so we had a literary call out, and we had submissions that came from across transnational submissions from, El Salvador. We had people from Mexico, people from the East Coast, people from, this coast, and people from San Diego. And so the idea was to really have these words inspire the art and the response that we're going to take in every single place that we go. And they have informed our public art project that will be unveiled in DC May 1st. We welcome, for those of you watching on the virtual audience, to also follow us there. And what was really amazing was a number of poets and artists that responded from here locally, from San Diego. And so we couldn't come to San Diego and not create space for our local artists and voice. And we're just really excited to have their presence here. We've not met, but I feel like we've met because we've read and heard your video and your music. And so Verde, welcome onto the stage. We're gonna do a tiny little setup. You have your phone? Okay, and you're gonna use the mic.
¿Cómo estamos, mi gente? Make some noise for the children. I'm going to do a little chant with you guys. So when I say free, I want you guys to say the children. Free. Free. That's right. So today I'm going to be performing a song for you guys. I'm going to be connecting to the speaker right now. This is definitely for the children. This is definitely for La Raza, mi gente. So make some noise for that. Come on. Hey, yo. They taking away my people, calling us illegal aliens, putting us in cages for experiments. I'm innocent. That's what my mama said before she was shot for being an immigrant. Is this what it takes to be an American citizen? I'm sick of this. There's more than 44,000 people stuck in imprisonment for being different in their melanin, for being from a different heritage. Inherit this and cherish this, cause modern day rappers sell them and sell them this. I predicted this from Genesis to the apocalypse. They cannot demolish this. We the aliens coming from a rocket ship. My consciousness be telling me what they be doing to kids without a citizenship. I'm calling it quits to anyone who's not even honoring this. It's different from this. I do this for all the families and all of the kids, cause we are all equal. I don't need to show you no documents. Come on, make some noise. Yeah, beat the beat up, defeat the evil, swank my stilo, I'm saving the people. Yeah, I'm saving the people. What? I'm saving the people. Boombox on the black top, juking on the jam rock, second block, another brother getting shot. What you know? Another crooked cop, young cock, locked and loaded, popping poets with the finest focus. Contemplated suicide, emphasizing genocide, mankind. Televised, tells lies to your vision till you realize. Third eye paradise, not a part of this fucking parasite. Feminine flowetry, heaven said, could it be one opportunity? Gathering unity into the community, speaking in the native tongue quite fluently. I Two-faced on the dollar bill, yo. Two-faced on the dollar bill, yo. Two-faced on the dollar bill, yo. Two-faced on the dollar. Can't fix pain with the pain pills, fame kills. Won't sell my soul to no record deal. Feel the secrecies in my frequencies. I can see the you and me. Yeah. I can see the you and me. Yeah, there is corruption in the currency. Can't you see? Come on, can't you see? Industry leading you and me to division in every creed, breed, color, religion. Make the Catholic hate the Christian. America's a rich man's vision, but a poor man's prison. What? Beat the beat up, defeat the evil. Swank my steel out, I'm saving the people. Come on, I'm saving the people. Yeah. The people unequal, there's rules and the demons screaming. Where do I find meaning? In a world full of trees and repeating. Feeding the senator's genitals to come off the high pedestal. Fuck your federal, credible, impeccably impeccable, revolution, feminine. Fuck your dead presidents, fiddle with the synonyms. Woman is, goddess is, social solitude, screw the system. Isolate me to the solar system. I don't wanna be a victim of this victory, misery, music, singing my fifth. To the Statue of Liberty, watching you rappers putting your dick inside the rap industry. What an epitome. Spitting this differently so the violence will cycle on the vinyl. I'm in denial of using the rifle. These are my survival tactics. The fact is, they be steady clapping when you rapping about bitches, hoes, and asses. Stick your tongue on some acid while I move the masses. These are my survival tactics. Come on, hey. Beat the beat up, defeat the evil. Swank my steel out, I'm saving the people. Come on, I'm saving the people. Yeah, I'm saving the people. Two-faced on the dollar bill, yo. 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 Come on, make some noise. Thank you guys so much for having me. This is for the children. This is for the women. This is for everybody in this universe. Let's go. Thank you so much.
Give it up for Verde! I think that's the magic, right? It's everywhere. And Floricanto's going to take us there. So we are going to close this portion of it. Of course, we're running on, a little Latino time. We're gonna, after we close the set, we're gonna make our way to our cars, but via the mural that is on the other side of the street. We encourage you to walk over there. And so when we were thinking about this, again, we were looking for people on the ground. We were looking for people that have been committed. And it was really amazing to connect with Casa Familiar because it was, I feel like it was meant to be. We had to connect. They understand the culture. They understand that it's integral. They understand, and they've been not only here in San Diego city, but at the front, in San Isidro, holding it down in this community. And so when we were talking, I realized that it's part of their work is hosting this space called The Front. And if you know The Front, you know that that's where all the thought and activism is happening, where the art, most contemporary, ideas and thought and practice for artists is being offered as a place of refuge as well. And that it's through that our community is organizing and creating the different, narratives. And so they introduced me to the director, and the director also is a musician himself, which we couldn't be here without, again, having our sister organization come and share some song. So not only are they inside the places, but they're also, inside the convention center, they're also in the community making space. And we know that these cultural institutions are more beyond cultural institutions. These are our cultural monuments that are creating the space for our community. So I want to introduce Francisco Morales, who's going to be playing a couple songs and closing this portion. And then when we close this, some of you can make your way to the mural. Some of you can make your way to your cars. We have posters that we want to put on your cars. There's also pins that we can, if you are driving and join the Caravan, we're going to line up right here on National Avenue. Who would have thought I'd come back and tell people we're going to be lining up on National Avenue? And we're going to head out. So just giving you a little bit of housekeeping as Francisco sets himself up. Anywho, who's excited to go to the convention center? Here again, who's excited? Yes. No, it is fun. This time we're going to be like having music. Do you want to say? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We're going to go via that way. Yeah. Okay.
Sí. Buenas tardes a todos. Sí. Bueno, gracias por el trabajo que están haciendo todos. Gracias por el corazón que ponen en esta misión que ustedes mismos han asignado. Gracias obviamente a Casa Familiar, a Lisa, Andy y todo el equipo que pues literalmente pasan la noche ahí y han trabajado muy duro antes y seguirán trabajando para dar su corazón. Esta canción es una canción ya un ícono de la canción latinoamericana. Se llama Yo vengo a ofrecer mi corazón. Y había preparado así como pedales y efectos y todo, pero no los pude usar, así que va a ser así más acústico. ¿Quién dijo que todo está perdido? Yo vengo a ofrecer mi corazón. Tanta sangre que se llevó el río. Yo vengo a ofrecer mi corazón. No será tan fácil, ya sé qué pasa. No será tan simple como pensaba, como abrir el pecho y sacar el alma, una cuchillada de amor. Luna de los pobres siempre abierta, yo vengo a ofrecer mi corazón. Como un documento inalterable, yo vengo a ofrecer mi corazón y uniré las puntas de un mismo lazo y me iré tranquilo, me iré despacio y te daré todo y me darás algo que me alivie un poco más. Cuando no haya nadie cerca o lejos, yo vengo a ofrecer mi corazón. Cuando los satélites no alcancen, yo vengo a ofrecer mi corazón. Y hablo de países y de esperanza. Hablo por la vida, hablo por la rabia. Cómo abrir el pecho y sacar el alma. Hablo de cambiar esta nuestra casa, de cambiarla para mejorar. ¿Quién dijo que todo está perdido? Yo vengo a ofrecer mi corazón. ¿Quién dijo que todo está perdido? Yo vengo a ofrecer mi corazón. ¿Quién dijo que todo está perdido? Ayúdenme. Yo vengo a ofrecer mi corazón. ¿Quién dijo que todo está perdido? Ustedes. ¿Quién dijo que todo está perdido? Yo vengo a ofrecer mi corazón. Gracias. Mucha suerte en su trabajo de todos. Gracias. Bueno, una canción más. Esta canción la escribí cuando vivía en la Ciudad de México y mi hija vivía aquí en Estados Unidos ya. Yo no tenía visa, así que no la pude ver por un tiempo. Y bueno, esta situación complicada de ser un inmigrante. El otro lado de ser inmigrante, que son los que se quedan, ¿no? Los que se quedan en la ciudad. Lobo de la ciudad, oh, 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 oh. Sales a caminar y la luz te deslumbra, son los autos. Llevas poco en tus bolsillos más que algún cambio y sacaste unos cigarrillos de contrabando y te vas a fumar a la esquina más oscura y dejas que el dolor se te escurra. Vives en la ciudad, oh, 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 oh. Quieres a toda costa olvidar, oh, que no estás. Prometiste que llegarías para el invierno, pero las cosas son pesadillas, son un infierno. Y te vas resignando a la esquina más oscura y dejas que la furia se te escurra. Vives en la ciudad, sales a olvidar, oh, 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 oh. Quieres a toda costa hoy casa, Están todos ya tus sentidos muy saturados, pero concentras la cacería en los solitarios y te vas a gozar a la esquina más oscura y dejas que el amor se te escurra. Sales a Gracias.
Bueno, con esto se cierra el programa de esta locación de Chicano Park. Otra vez, gracias por haber venido y estar con nosotros. Queremos, en lo que preparamos los coches para salir en caravana, que salgan y sigan a Larissa. Larissa, Larissa, Larissa. Raise your hand. Where is she? I can't see her. Did we lose her? Larissa. Larissa. Ok, sigan a Larissa al lado del parque. Van a ir a ver al mural de Víctor Ochoa. Los que están con nosotros virtualmente van a seguirnos hasta allá. En unos momentos después del mural tenemos un DJ set virtually by DJ Sizzle, the chick that's a sick individual, as their tagline is. So they will be playing music for those of you that are watching virtually, so you have a little moment of respite, and then you can join us when we open the program at the convention center, where we'll be meeting with folks that are going to share, working directly with the young kids there. So join us for the tour of the mural from Víctor Ochoa. Larissa, where'd she go? Again. Síguele. Go with the camera.
all I know is you use your phone, right? We've been painting this, working on this mural for over a year. And we got stopped about 70 days because of the virus, and they locked us down. I was really worried because the scaffolding is 7 stories high. It costs $10,000 to rent it for 4 months. That's how much time I estimated to work on it. But then they locked us down for 70 days, and I'm going, oh my God, how can we afford the extension? So fortunately, the guys from the scaffolding place, they gave us an extension. I was invited by the Alliance and Friends, American Friends Service, and Pedro just spoke to you earlier about. And it was about the 10th anniversary of Anastasio Hernandez Rojas. And so his death is, the culmination on the top. But as we were working on it, people kept on dying. The couple from El Paso, the father and child, were found drowned at the beach. People in cages dying. People, I know one woman that's speaking out here was shot in the head by immigration agents. So it's a constant battle of what to deal with here at the border. I don't think that a mural can be a solution to any of these issues, but I think that it will act as a reminder to us that this stuff keeps on going on, and that we quit being complacent about it. Oh, I got a green card, so that issue doesn't affect me anymore. I got 2 vaccines, but I heard some people from the Midwest are getting 2nd, 3rd, and 4th infections. So I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but I don't trust anything anymore. So the team, we formed a team from my students at Grossmont and then more artists from the community. We have over 20 people that worked on this, and it was really a great amount of energy. If you notice, I painted the mural in pearlescent paint. You notice that most of the mural glows. It has a sheen, a metallic sheen. I wanted this to happen so that it would convey the spirituality that we felt about honoring the death of Anastasio. And let's kind of walk onto the other side. That side is the Anastasia side, but this side is the widow. Maria Puga and the twins are on this side. So what we were trying to deal with was the energy that life is all about. I went to Milan, and I'm not an expert about this, but I'm 72 now. So I might be a little bit closer. That's not true, right? But I don't know jack about them. Happy on the back. Yeah, I know everybody thought that I spent 6 days in the hospital. I was in Ghana. What's your Milan? I went to visit the motif This motif on the bottom is directly lifted from Islam. This one means water, this one means earth. So we have this fountain here right next to it. It also has the duality of the mother and father, the child, life and death, the other side. So it's a coincidence that our mural design went along with the fountain. And I feel the energy all the time. I wish that thing would keep working all the time. They're always finding some excuse to close it down. So we try to do all of those issues that are happening at the border. I can stay here all day long talking about the issues, how immigration affected me personally. But I think everybody, all of you have a story to say. I know Josie's grandparents, from Baca, they came surf on a surfboard. They served K-38 in Sinala. Then they went and they crossed over to Coronado Island in a submarine with cocaine in it. See, so we can be very innovative in our story. So I thank you for coming to kick it off. There's a little bit of the story written here on the side. Please ask me any questions. Anybody have any questions?
How long did it take you to work on this?
Pretty much like a year, but we had 70 days that closed us down with COVID. So it was like 2.5 months we couldn't work.
So, forgive me, I know you probably said this, I missed it, but when was the mural finished?
The mural was finished just around Day of the Dead, November.
Gorgeous, beautiful.
And we're planning to do a 11th anniversary on May 28th this year. I just found out today. Last minute order.
That's how we do it, right?
Last minute. If you have any questions,
Hola, buenos días, familia. Muchísimas gracias for having me out. My name is DJ Sizzle Fantastic, and I'm here to provide some tunes for this great event. Shout out to all the folks desde San Diego hasta Los Angeles, all the way up to the Bay Area. Let's go.
Usted no se anima. Mire cómo está el camino. Anegadito. No, hombre, compa. El camino es lo de menos. Lo importante es llegar. Tengo tu antídoto. No tiene identidad. Somos idénticos. Queremos sin avisar. Tengo tranquilito. Para lo que ya no están. Para lo que están. Y lo que viene. Tengo tu antídoto. Que no tiene identidad. Somos idénticos. Queremos sin avisar. Tengo tranquilito. Para lo que ya no están. Para lo que están. Y lo que viene. Un nómada sin rumbo. La energía negativa yo la derrumbo con mis pezuñas de cordero. Me propuse a recorrer el continente entero sin brujo.
Shout out to all the immigrants in the chat, immigrants worldwide, undocumented and unafraid, or documented and still unafraid. We out here.
Sin comodidades, sin lujo, protegido por los santos y los brujos. Aprendí a escribir cabronerías en mi libreta y con un mismo idioma sacudir todo el planeta. Aprendí que mi pueblo todavía reza porque las fucking autoridades y la puta realeza todavía se mueven por debajo de la mesa. Aprendí a tragarme la depresión con cerveza. Mi patrono yo lo escupo desde las montañas y con mi propia saliva enveneno su champaña. Enveneno su champaña.
Much love a toda nuestra gente desde Suramérica, Centroamérica, México, the United States. Shout out to las mariposas del alma and Disco Resaca Collective in the Bay Area.
I don't know how to explain. My season will change. It seems never the same. All I know is I love you. For so many reasons, which means I love you. For our seasons, I love you with the gentleness of a falling leaf on an autumn day. But most of all, I love you with the briskness of a winter when the snows come out to stay. I don't know how to explain. My season will change. It seems never the same. All I know is te amo. Estoy enamorada. Te amo en cada temporada.
That's right. right, y'all? Cause en la resistencia también, we need some cumbia. So shout out to all the cumbia lovers, wherever you're at. I hope you're moving. I hope you're grooving.
Algo que me mueve, un ritmo que me hace bailar. Tomen todos su pareja, todos vamos a gozar. Baila, baila esta cumbia, mueve, mueve la cintura. Todos las manos en alto y griten, griten con locura. Baila esta cumbia, un ritmo.
A big shout out to Selena,
Se quede sentado.
la OG cumbia queen. Who just, if she would have been alive, she still would have celebrated her 50th birthday. But we celebrate her songs in her honor.
Siento algo que me mueve, un ritmo que me hace bailar. Todos su pareja, todos vamos a gozar. Baila, baila esta cumbia, mueve, mueve la cintura. Todos las manos en alto y griten, griten con locura. Baila esta cumbia, un ritmo, ritmo sin igual. Nadie se quede sentado, todos vamos a bailar. Baila esta cumbia, un ritmo, ritmo sin igual. Nadie se quede sentado, todos vamos a bailar. Baila, baila esta cumbia, un ritmo, ritmo sin igual. Nadie se quede sentado, todos vamos a bailar. Baila, baila esta cumbia, un ritmo, ritmo sin igual. Nadie se quede sentado.
Diplomático, este es automático. Quiero darte castigo, pero andamos diplomático. Tú con tu gistro elástico, yo quiero darte látigo. Diplomático, este es automático. Quiero darte castigo, pero andamos diplomático. Tú con tu gistro elástico, yo quiero darte castigo. La cortesía no me permite darte todo lo que necesites, aunque tenga el ritmo que te debilite. Pa' que se pierda, que me haga daño, tal vez si tú lo amerites, pero hay algo que puede que me limite. Tranquila, no se apapache, mamá, no se agüite, que ninguna le da la talla ni le compite. Pida lo que quiera, le doy lo que necesite, pero no se precipite, mejor recapacite que andamos diplomático, este es automático. Quiero darte castigo, pero andamos diplomático. Tú con tu gistro elástico, yo quiero darte látigo. Diplomático, este es automático. Quiero darte castigo, pero andamos diplomático. Pasa el tiempo.
All right, do we have any Bad Bunny fans in the chat?
Dime dónde estás, que extraño el bellaco, las noches de perreo. Dime dónde estás, que ando mirando la foto de cuando. Bonitos recuerdos de cuando nos escapamos. En el carro al cuarto ni llegamos. Desde que te desnudaste, a mi mente te mudaste. Estoy puesto para repetir lo de tuyo en el balcón del hotel con un. No te encuentro ninguna explicación. Dime si fue que volviste con aquel. A mí no me molesta ser tu chilla. Tú no eres monja, ni yo monaguillo. Me tienes loco ese tempillo. Si se abre un OnlyFans, la baby se hace mío. Ella es loca, que le haga cosas con mi boca. Hace tiempo no la veo y ya toca. Ay, me tienes mirando la foto de cuando. Bonitos recuerdos de cuando nos escapamos. En
nos dices que debemos sentarnos, pero las ideas solo pueden levantarnos, caminar, correr, no rendirse ni retroceder, ver, aprender como esponja, absorber. Nadie sobre todos, faltan todos, son antojos para todos, todo para nosotros. Soñamos en grande que se caiga el imperio, lo gritamos algo, no queda más remedio. Esto no es utopía, es alegre rebeldía del baile de los que sobran, de la danza tuya mía. Levantarnos para llevar ni África ni América Latina se suba. Con barro, con casco, con lápiz a patear el fiasco, provocar un social terremoto en este chat.
Arriba Chile. Shout out to Ana Tijoux. Shout out to all of the amazing, beautiful, powerful women doing the thing.
Los callados, todos los omitidos, todos los invisibles, todos los callados, todos los omitidos, todos los invisibles,
Nigeria, Bolivia, Chile, Angola, Puerto Rico y Tunisia, Argelia, Venezuela, Guatemala, Nicaragua, Mozambique, Costa Rica, Camerún, Congo, Cuba, Somalia, México, República Dominicana, Tanzania, fuera Yankee de América Latina, franceses, ingleses y holandeses, yo te quiero libre.
عطني المايك وغني في الغناء ولغة الأم العالمية، حامل وجودنا هو حامل جذورنا بربطنا بسوريا، كبرى أفريقيا، أمريكا اللاتينية. أنا مع الإلكترونيات تحت الجو، أنا واقف مع البيعانة مش معني الضوء، أنا مع المقاومة الثقافية، نبدأ من أول أنا هسه فيكتوريا CMP. مش معنى أنا حسبت حسابي زمان استثمر ببنكي بعد ما بنكي أعلن إفلاسي. يوم العلم كان الوضع بده ردع، صار الوضع بده ردع، لكل الكذب بتحرر مستوطنة بالمجد كل يوصف حكيت ألسان أنا فرقت الهجر الإعلام سلاح مطيب كبركوب. أما لما ألمي يدي برجع الواقع كما todos los callados, todos los omitidos, todos los invisibles,
San Diego, Los Ángeles, la Bahía, let's go.
Quítate el esmalte, deja de taparte, que nadie va a retratarte. Levántate, ponte hyper, préndete, sácale chispa al starter. Préndete en fuego como un lighter, sacúdete el sudor como si fuera un wiper, que tú eres callejera, street fighter. Don't stop, hey, hey, don't stop, hey, hey, don't stop, hey, hey, don't stop, hey, hey. This is your town, get your hands up, you get your hands up, you get your hands up. This is your town, get your hands up, don't get your hands up, don't get your hands up. All the out of town cats, get them up, push them up. All the out of town cats, get them up, push them up. All the out of town cats, get them up, push them up, get them up, push them up.
All right. Here we go. When I say abolish, you say ICE. Abolish. Abolish. When I say abolish, you say ICE. Abolish. Abolish. That's right, y'all. Que la protesta sea nuestro canto, nuestros gritos, pero también que sea el baile, que sea nuestra felicidad. Because you know that's how they always try and get us, and we can't let them win that way. Once they rob us of our happiness, of our spirit, that's when we forfeit the battle.
Y desde Monterrey, una cumbia colombiana para todo el mundo. Emociones suenan, agua y ritmo llena. Oye, ella, como quiere juega, mientras la que se menea, la que se menea. Y un saludo para todos mis seguidores
en el matador nacen barracas. Si hablamos de matar, mis palabras matan. No hace mucho tiempo que cayó el león Santillán y ahora sé que en cualquier momento me la van a dar. ¿Dónde estás, matador? Me dicen el matador, me están buscando. En una fría pensión los estoy esperando. Agazapado en lo más oscuro de mi habitación, fusil en mano, espejo, mi final. La cana te busca, matador, la cana te tiene, matador. ¿Dónde estás, matador? No te vayas, matador, matador. Guayera. Viento de libertad, sangre combativa. En los bolsillos del pueblo la vieja herida. De pronto el día se me hace de noche, murmullos, corridas que golpeen la puerta. Llegó la fuerza policial. Mira, hermano, en que terminaste por pelear por un mundo mejor. Que suenan, son balas, me alcanzan, me atrapan. Resiste, Víctor Jara, no calla. Matador, te están buscando. Matador, te están matando. Matador. Valiente matador.
So I think we are all in agreement. We made one monster lose his job. I think it's time for a few more monsters. to lose their jobs. Hey. And yes, we are talking about ICE. We are talking about DHS. We are talking about Border Patrol. Absolute no need for them. Hey.
It was a clear black night, a clear white moon. Warren G was on the streets trying to consume some skirts for the E, so I could get some phones. Rolling in my ride, chilling all alone.
Just hit the east side of the LBC on a mission trying to find Mr. Warren G. Seen a car full of girls, ain't no need to tweak. All of you search know what's up with 213.
So I hooked select on 21 and Lewis, some brothers shooting dice. So I said, let's do this. I jumped out the rock and said, what's up? Some brothers pulled some gas, so I said, I'm stuck.
Since these girls peeping me, I'm gonna glide and swerve. These hookers looking so hard, they straight hit the curve. Want to bigger, better things than some horny tricks. I see my homie and some suckers all in his mix.
I'm getting jacked, I'm breaking myself. I can't believe they taking Warren's wealth. They took my rings, they took my Rolex. I looked at the brother, said, damn, what's next?
They got my homie hemmed up and they all around. Can't none of them see him if they going straight down for pound. They wanna come up real quick before they start to clown. I best pull out my strap and lay them busters down.
They got guns to my head, I think I'm going down. I can't believe it's happening in my own town. I would fly, let me contemplate. I glance in the cut and I see my homie Nate.
16 in the clip and 1 in the hole. Nate Dogg is about to make some bodies turn cold. Now they dropping and yelling, it's a tad bit late. Nate Dogg and Warren G had to regulate.
Yo, shout out to Nipsey Hussle.
Last time that I checked, it was 5 chains on my neck. It was no smut on my rap. Last time that I checked, I was selling songs in the set. Make $250,000, no sweat. Last time that I checked, I'm the streets voice out west. Legendary self-made progress. Last time that I checked, first you get the money, then respect, and the power and the hoes come next. Last time that I checked, I've been self-made from the dribble. I was been saying I'm a killer. Nah. Playing no games with you niggas. Pop clutch, switch lanes on you niggas. Look, I laid down the game for you niggas. Taught you how to charge more than what they paid for you niggas. On the whole thing for you niggas. Reinvest, double up, then explain for you niggas. It gotta be love. Run the city, it gotta be cuz. Just for the pieces I took off the Monopoly board. Yeah, y'all niggas false claims, it gotta be fraud. Just keep the hood up out your mouth and you gotta be charged. I doubled up, tripled up, nigga what? Banged on the whole game, I ain't give a fuck. Nobody tripping, handle business, got my digits up. And when I drop, you know I'm about to fuck the city up. Check. It was 5 chains on my neck. It was no smut on my rap. Last time that I checked, I was selling songs in the set. Make $250,000, no sweat. Last time that I checked, I'm the streets voice out west. Legendary self-made progress. Last time that I checked, first you get the money, then respect, then the power and the hoes come.
Oh snap, I bet that's probably the first time you heard Nipsey Hussle with a side of salsa.
Esa chica que me tiene arrebatado, que me tiene de dolor, que ya estoy enamorado, quizás serán sus ojitos, o tal vez su caminado, o quizás esas cositas que su casa ella me ha dado.
All right, y'all. I'm gonna leave you with one more last song, La Resistencia by Joe Arroyo. Because you know our people have been in La Resistencia for centuries due to the colonization of our people. But you know what? The beautiful thing is that we're still out here fighting and resisting.
Los años 1600, cuando el tirano mandó,
They did it then, we're doing it now.
las calles de
Different problems, same monsters.
aquella historia vivió.
But I thank you so much for vibing and for rocking with me. My name is DJ Sizzle Fantastic. If you would like to connect with me on social media, I am on Instagram at Sizzle007. I also stream on Twitch, so you could follow me at DJ Sizzle007, where you will find, my mixes and different things like that. So muchísimas gracias to everyone. Shout out to Galeria and all the folks putting the Caravan on together. Thank you for having me out. Nos vemos para la próxima. Thank you so much for everything. Nos vemos. Adiós.
Our children are beautiful, bellos son. Our children are gifts, son el regalo más amado. Our children are sacred, sagrados son. Our children están llenos de esperanza. En la vida, cansados de amar, pues son las maestras, doctores, artistas, madres ingenieras de un mundo de paz. Our children are sacred, nuestros niños son sagrados. Our children are beautiful, bellos son. Our children are a gift, son el regalo más amado. Our children are sacred, sagrados son. Our children are sacred, sagrados son. We welcome and embrace the oh. We welcome and embrace the family. Our children are sacred. Give them love. Our children are sacred. We declare sanctuary. Our children are sacred. Building bridges, not a wall. Our children are sacred. Sanctuary. We all belong to the earth. Our children are sacred, yeah. Sagrados son, sagrados son. Por eso vamos a cuidarlos, sagrados, quererlos, amarlos. Our children are sacred. Nuestros niños sagrados son. Our children are sacred. Nuestros niños sagrados son. Our children are sacred. Nuestros niños sagrados
¡Vivan los niños! Que vivan con sus familias, unidos con sus familias. Gracias a nuestros pajaritos cantantes, our songbirds in the Bay Area. And again, thank you to everyone who's come out, both from the Bay Area as well as from San Diego, to support this activity today. This is really we're celebrating unity, because we know that the only way we can move us forward to the justice and the dignity, to the human rights that we're defending, is by working together in unity. So, en la unidad está la fuerza. So thank you, everyone. We love you. Thank you, San Diego, for hosting us. We just came from historic Chicano Park. And it was so inspiring to be there and to be around all that beautiful artwork. We also bring that tradition from the mission, where we have our muralistas, mujeres muralistas. We got Balmy Audi, and it's just so nice to see the connectivity, ¿verdad? Que el arte nos une y la lucha nos une. So thank you again. Thank you, Diana and Liliana and Francisco. So this part of the program is really about our demands. It's about our demands, which are human rights. And first of all, I want to start by saying thank you to all the amazing nonprofit organizations and volunteers who are inside that building behind us. Because right now, behind us, there are almost 2,000 children. And these are children who've been separated from their families because of failed policies. Title 42, the border closure. Because of COVID, and that's happening all throughout Latin America, where the borders are closing. COVID has become the greatest excuse that politicians had to close the border. And that border closure is resulting in parents making the hardest choice a parent could ever make. And that is to separate from their children and send them across the border. Because right now the United States is only accepting unaccompanied children. And that is not a handing, like a good, that was the result of a lawsuit. That's the result of the MPP, Migrant Protection Policy, or as we call it, Remain in Mexico policy. The ACLU and KIND and Southern Poverty Law Center and so many other organizations, Carecen as well, have been fighting the fight. We've been fighting the fight legislatively. We've been fighting the fight through lawsuits. And the fight is really about defending human rights. And the only reason these children right now are able to enter the U.S. is, again, because the ACLU and all these nonprofit organizations negotiated with the federal government and with the courts, and that is why children are being allowed in. But maybe, I don't know if it's unintended or not, but we're definitely not guarding the best interests of the child as a nation, because the best interest of the child is always to be with their adult loved ones. It's not just parents, it's abuelitas, it's tías, it's older siblings, sometimes it's padrinos and madrinas. But no child should be in that convention center right now having to go through a process without an adult that they love and care for. So we're here to show our solidarity, we're here to show our love, and more importantly, we're here to say thank you, mil gracias, a todos los voluntarios and the nonprofit organizations that are inside that convention center right now, trying to imagine, what actually showing what love is. This country is lacking imagination. How is it that the richest country, one of those first worlds in the world nations in the world, can't do a better job? And once again, it's the organizations at the front line. Yesterday, I heard that the youngest child in this convention center is 5 years old, alone. And these sisters and brothers, they haven't even gotten into a contract with the federal government. They're doing this work without any resources. So we're here to show our love. We're here to demand the uncaging, the reunification, and the healing. Because esto no comienza solo with the immigration courts and the processes. These children need healing, they need love, and we know that it's always the community and the advocates that are extending our arms, because no solutions will come if they don't come from the ground up. So without further ado, we want to also recognize our Bay Area elected officials who have joined us in solidarity, because they know that taking care of children, taking care of everyone in our community is the way that our cities are going to thrive. If one of us is down, all of us are down. And so thank you, Supervisor Shamon Walton. Thank you, Supervisor Matt Haney. Thank you, of course, to our Mission District Supervisor Hillary Ronan. And thank you again to Gabriela Lopez from our school board.
supervisors representing District 10, but more importantly, a human being. And the reason we are down here is to let everyone here in San Diego know, to let everyone in California know, to let our national leaders know, our president, our vice president, to let everyone know that we stand in solidarity and making sure that we do everything we can, play our part, to let our children out of these cages. There is no worse act than to separate a child from their family. And we have the resources, we have the opportunity to provide a sanctuary for these children and for their families. Because we cannot talk about uncaging our children, and we cannot talk about providing them with the safety and support they need, but also not including their families. So we stand in unity. We came down here to, one, let you know that we stand with you, but two, to figure out what we can do as leaders and policymakers in the Bay Area to support what we need to get our children from being caged. We're going to continue to fight with you. This caravan, these last couple of days, is only the beginning, because the only way to really affect and make change is to do it from a policy standpoint. And you have our commitment that we're going to be working very hard to come up with those policies. We will hear from my colleagues in a couple of minutes as well. But I just want to thank you so much to everyone here in San Diego, to all of the community-based organizations, to all the leaders, to everyone who has welcomed us with open arms. We are here in solidarity. We are here with and for you, and we want to make that point clear to everyone. Libertad para los niños.
Libertad para los niños.
Gracias a todos.
Thank you, Supervisor Walton. So it's also important to note that today marks the 90th day of the Biden-Harris administration. So part of our goal in this campaign has been to really mark the first 100 days of the new administration and to hold them accountable for the promises that they made during the campaign trail. Biden and Vice President Harris, Oakland native, Bay Area represent, have made some serious promises, and they said that they were going to get right to the work with the reunification of the 666 children who have still been separated from their parents after the zero tolerance policy by the number 45. So today, again, we mark the 90th day because we're beginning the 10-day countdown, because we're going to be heading to Washington, D.C. for the 100th day to join allies from all across the country on May 1st to march and demand immigrant justice. Ya es tiempo. Our community has waited far too long. Stop playing politics on people's lives. So I'm now going to introduce Annie Rivera, Executive Director of Galeria La Raza, and one of the institutions that are one of the organizing anchors of this effort. Buenas tardes. Good afternoon. Why are we here? Because we want to heal. Where's the word? No. Words matter. We want to reunify, reunificar, uncage. The words matter. And so part of this process is including culture and making sure that, we set the intention that our poets, our literary visionaries are sharing words of liberation. And so it is my honor to call right now to share with us a piece where I don't see, ahí viene la Yossi. So it is important to have Floricanto. Our goal for this gathering here, it's not a protest, it's a Floricanto, es una ofrenda de amor. Y tenemos al único, Yosimar Reyes, que nos va a ofrecer unas palabras, porque sabemos que su voz ha estado informando la situación más allá de lo que son las leyes, lo que son de gobierno, nos está informando nuestro corazón y nuestras almas. So, con todo mi amor, les presentamos a Yosimar Reyes. Un aplauso, por favor.
Buenas tardes, everybody. I'm so excited to be here to share a couple of words with you. I'm a DACA beneficiary. I have deferred action for childhood arrivals. I've been in the country for 30 years, and I still don't have, any legal status. But I think for me, one of the things that I'm trying to capture in the work, in my voice as an undocumented immigrant, is capture the strength, the agency, and also the joy of our communities, because it's very important to not forget that we are vibrant and that we continue to thrive amidst the circumstances that we're living under. And so for me, I choose to celebrate that. This first poem I wrote simply because, there were, just the fact that oftentimes, you get comments from people like, you should just do it the legal way. But I think for me, it's bigger than that. I mean, like really questioning what is the moral bankruptcy that exists in this country, right? And why does it continue to breed that? Obviously, over the last couple of, over the last 2 years, we're kind of witnessing the intersections, police violence and everything that's happening, right? So it's very important for us to note that. So I wrote this. It goes like this. The most heartbreaking thing about bearing witness to children in cages, a drowned father and a daughter, another ICE raid, another tweet, is the fact that this country breeds citizens with no humanity. How spiritually backward must one be to sit there and say they should have done it the legal way? May the ghosts of our ancestors come back like a storm, a heavy wind, an earthquake, and fall upon the homes of those with venom on their lips. May the ghosts of our ancestors remind them who God really is. You cannot stop us because we do not die in vain. A storm is coming and you cannot hide from the rain. Because obviously I know that it's intense feelings, and I think it's very important and it's valid that we feel this kind of energy, right? And I think ese enojo, ese coraje is what leads us to change, right? But at the same time, it's also important to remember that all this work and the reason we fight for our communities is because it's rooted in love and because we want to see each other succeed. I know that for me, as an undocumented immigrant in this country, I would have not been here where I am without the support and the love that people have shown me. So I'm grateful to all of you who stand in solidarity with us y nos apoyan. So por eso, como dice, aquí venimos a este país a triunfar, and that's what we're doing, right? So I'm going to end with this love poem. It's an oldie, but I think it goes with this. You tell me you don't like the city, that these buildings is concrete, numbs the senses, cages the spirit, and baby, your spirit was meant to be free. You, my love, were born to be revolutionary. Free like the tobacco you offer to blow blessings free. Like palabras sagradas que salen de tu boca y las rimas femeninas y masculinas that you bust here on stage. You are my other half. Thanks to you, I don't forget where I come from. For men like you, I will ride a million BARTs, get lost in Oakland, and find your house beneath the brightest star. Mi vida, you come from tierra, where the spirits of those who failed to cross over Rome. You come from el desierto, but baby, we all know you are not deserted. You got me, and together we are four spirits, like the four directions. You have the creator behind you. You are his creation, his masterpiece. And in the journey you are traveling, you have managed to leave your footprints in my heart. I carry your breath in my hair, your teachings in my two-spirit. You are fluid, como los ríos que la gente ha cruzado. You remind me that the only possessions we have in this world are our bodies and our voice, and the combination of the two must be used to honor the spirits of los antepasados. This life is a ritual, and in its sacredness, I'm so glad I'm able to hug you. You are my revolutionary, and as we continue to walk on this journey, just remember that I love you, and I stand with you. I stand with you, and I love you. Muchas gracias. Que pasen bonitas tardes.
Was that amazing? Gracias, Yossi. Again, art heals, la cultura cura. And this is a time where we should take a minute to honor and send our prayers to all the families who've been impacted by this pandemic and who've lost loved ones. So let's take a minute of silence for all the people who've been lost to this pandemic. So we know that we've been hit so hard in the United States and globally by this pandemic. And this is yet another one of the reasons why people are forced to migrate. None of these families nobody leaves our home por gusto. And the fact of the matter is that much of the reason that's forcing people, the structural causes of migration, forced migration, are rooted in many cases in the U.S. policies in the region. I myself grew up in Nicaragua during the war in the 80s. And I lost so many friends during that time, both to the war and people who fled. And then we saw the waves of reunification, parents who had to leave and leave their children behind. And then those children, when they were older, came to the States to reunify with their parents. And that story has just continued and continued and continued. At one point it was wars. At other points it's been violence, poverty. Cuando no tenés que comer, you will do anything to feed your child. And the power and the strength of the mothers and the parents who have made the hardest decision that I can't even imagine. I think of my mother, who when I was 16 put me on a plane so I could flee the war. And my mom wasn't at my graduation, she wasn't at my son's birth, she wasn't at my college graduation. All the milestones in my life I've had by myself and with my chosen family, Bay Area family. And that's the story of so many of us. I got brothers and sisters here who cruzaron esa frontera, cruzaron ríos, puentes, always looking for a better tomorrow, el mañana mejor. So we're here again as an expression of love, of solidarity, and to demand that the U.S. stop this insanity. Stop treating us like some, no sé qué. We are your neighbors. We are your neighbors. Mexico, Centroamérica. We're one continente, one gente. So treat us with dignity. And stop calling this a crisis. Stop calling it a crisis. Because it's not. It is neglect.
Willful neglect.
It is willful neglect. There is no reason why the most powerful nation in this continent cannot open its doors and make sure that every one of those children inside is with their parents and families. We heard stories yesterday about a mother trying to find out where her children were. And she found out that her kids are inside this detention center right now. 4 niños, 2 twins, that's redundant. Gemelos, and 2 teenagers. So let's take that in. We can't see them, but they're inside. We can't feel them, but they're inside. We're not headlines. We're people. We're humans, and we have rights. And migration is a right. Humans have the right to migrate. Next, I am going to call, as we speak about COVID and the hard work, because again, las soluciones siempre están en nuestra comunidad. We always have the solution. And so I'm going to call up somebody I admire so much, who represents so many people that we love and respect, who've been working on the front line since day one to combat this pandemic. So I'm going to call John Jacobo, our commissioner, small business commissioner, but also one of our leaders from the Latino Task Force on COVID. And honestly, del pueblo para el pueblo con el pueblo. We got each other's backs. No one else. So have John come up and talk about Latino Task Force and all the work that we've been doing in the mission that we want to share, because again, we have lowered the COVID rates by community work. So I'm going to pass it on to you. You can tell us all about that.
Buenas tardes. Can you hear me?
Yes. Buenas tardes.
Okay, buenas tardes a todos. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is John Jacobo, and I have the honor and privilege of working alongside so many mujeres guerreras, some that are here with us, Tracy Brown Gallardo, Ruth Barajas, Gloria Romero, Gabriela Lopez, and many that are not, that are still in the Mission District. For those of you that don't know, the Latino Task Force is a collective of a lot of the CBOs, most of the CBOs in San Francisco. And the reason it's important is not because we're San Francisco centric, although I take a lot of pride in my Barrio de la Misión. It is because of what it represents if it could be replicated on a grander scale. And it is because of what it has taken care of through COVID-19 that shows us the inequities that are deeply rooted in this community. the Latinos of this country, of this state, of our city, of this city, have been the most impacted with COVID-19. In San Francisco, at our peak, we were 15 times more likely than any other ethnic group to contract COVID-19. We are dying at higher rates in the state of California. And the reason that is important, particularly with migration, particularly with the pain that one feels, is because people are dying because of the unequal living conditions that they sacrifice to get to, because they are working in the fields. They are driving the trucks to bring the food to the produce markets, to the restaurants. They are sacrificing everything for this country to move on when we were supposed to shelter in place. Yet this country cannot sacrifice for them or their children. This is not a Republican issue or a Democrat issue. These injustices with immigration policies have been happening under all the administrations. And it is time for our elected leaders to stop giving us lip service and commit bold action to change the outcomes that we're seeing with the pain of the children at the border. Enough is enough. And again, it is with great honor that us as the Latino Task Force, your neighbor 500 miles north, is here with you presente en San Diego y en cualquier parte de este país to advocate for those that are most impacted. Thank you for hosting us. Know that we are walking away with an incredible amount of information, an incredible amount of moving experiences, and we will use that to catapult us forward in our advocacy. Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you, John. So now we're going to invite Lucia Obregón, Commissioner of the Immigrant Rights Commission in San Francisco, and also she's a coordinator of Latino Equity and Parity Coalition in San Francisco. We've been working so hard, and I just, again, thank you to everyone here in San Diego, too. We know that the work is hard in the middle of a pandemic. So gracias, and thank you everyone for keeping your social distancing and wearing your mask, because we're here to promote health. Venga, Lucia, gracias.
Hello, hola a todos. ¿Cómo se sienten? En una bulla, estoy nerviosa. Mi nombre es Lucia Obregón. Soy una inmigrante de Guatemala. Vine aquí con mi madre a los 11 años. I'm an immigrant from Guatemala, and I've been here since I was 11. This is a song called Derecho de Nacimiento by Natalia Lafourcade. The song is called Birthright. Crear un canto para poder existir, para mover la tierra de los hombres y sobrevivir, para que voy a crear un canto para poder existir, para mover la tierra de los hombres y sobrevivir, para curar mi corazón y el alma, hacerla sentir, y el espíritu elevar y dejarlo vivir al fin. Yo no nací sin causa, yo no nací sin fe. Mi corazón pega fuerte para gritar a los que no sienten y así perseguir a la felicidad, sin perseguir a la felicidad. Es un derecho de nacimiento, es el motor de nuestro movimiento, porque reclamo libertad de pensamiento. Si no lo busco es porque estoy muriendo. Es un derecho de nacimiento, es el motor motor de nuestro movimiento. Sorry. Es el motor de nuestro movimiento. Porque es un derecho de nacimiento. Es el motor de nuestro movimiento. Porque reclamo libertad de pensamiento. Si no lo busco es porque estoy muriendo. Es un derecho de nacimiento. Es el motor de nuestro... Sorry. Es el motor de nuestro movimiento, porque reclamo libertad de pensamiento. Si no lo busco es porque estoy muriendo. Voy a crear un canto para hacerlos despertar, a los que van dormidos por la vida sin querer mirar, para que el trono lleve sangre, lleve flores y sanar el mar, y el espíritu elevar y dejarlo vivir en paz. Yo no nací sin causa, yo no nací sin fe. Mi corazón pega fuerte para gritar a los que no sienten y así perseguir a la felicidad, y así perseguir a la felicidad. Es un derecho de nacimiento, es el motor de nuestro movimiento, porque reclamo libertad de pensamiento. Si no lo pido es porque estoy muriendo. Es un derecho de nacimiento, comer los frutos que dejan los sueños, en una sola voz un sentimiento, y que este grito nuestro limpie nuestro viento. Es un derecho de nacimiento, es el motor de nuestro movimiento, porque reclamo libertad de pensamiento. Si no lo pido es porque estoy muriendo. Oh, quiero a mi pueblo libre, a mi pueblo libre. Quiero a mi pueblo libre, a mi pueblo libre, a mi pueblo libre. Estoy contigo, aunque no estemos juntos. Estoy contigo en la misma lucha. Y estoy contigo, aunque no estemos juntos. Estoy contigo en la misma lucha. Es un derecho de nacimiento, es el motor de nuestro movimiento, porque reclamo libertad de pensamiento. Si no lo pido es porque estoy muriendo. Es un derecho de nacimiento, comer los frutos que dejan los sueños, en una sola voz un sentimiento, y que este grito libre nuestro viento.
Migrar es un derecho de nacimiento. Thank you, Lucia. That was beautiful. So next up, we want to invite one of our greatest champions in San Francisco, because it takes all of us. It takes the heart, it takes the mind, and it takes the hard work. So now I'm going to invite our supervisor from District 9, Mission District, El Corazón de San Francisco, La Misión. Invite Hillary Ronan, our supervisor. She's supported because we need legislation, we need investments, and we've had legislation in San Francisco. We are proud to house one of the largest immigrant rights and legal defense collaboratives in the country. San Francisco Immigrant Legal Defense Collaborative, 15 organizations representing more than 1,200 migrants in San Francisco Immigration Court. And the only reason that was able to happen is because we had people like Hillary pushing our city to invest in due process and making sure our dream is that we will have universal representation for migrants in U.S. court. So without further words, please, Hillary. Bienvenida y gracias.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's such an honor to be here today. And I want to speak from a perspective of being a mother myself. And what I can tell you as a mother is that the situation has to be So bad, so unspeakably bad, so dangerous, so unspeakably dangerous for a mother to send her child to a foreign country alone. That doesn't happen unless we've gotten to a place that it is so dangerous for that child to stay with that mother that there's no other choice. And so when those mothers are sending their children here alone, it is our job, no matter where we are, to offer our solidarity, to offer our love, to offer our hope, to offer our finances, to offer our fight for those children and for those mothers. The last thing that I'll say, and this is a message directly to the Biden administration, is there's a reason that mothers are separating from their children and sending them here alone. It's because the administration isn't letting them in with their family. They're not letting them in with their mom or their dad. Please change that. We're beyond that. We're past that. We've learned that lesson. We've changed the government to get away from that horror. Please allow families to stay together and seek the safety that they so desperately need. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Ronan. Next, we would like to invite our Pride and Joy of San Francisco, our school board president, Gabriela Lopez. Next, we would like to invite our Pride and Joy, our school board president, Gabriela Lopez.
Hola a todos, gracias por tenernos aquí. Mi nombre es Gabriela Lopez. And first, I'd like you all to know how appreciative we are for being here, from learning from you, seeing how much we're gaining from the work that's being done on the ground. As a teacher myself, I understand the impact of education and access to quality education. And what we most want is for our children to be received by loving and caring adults who will give them the hope that they need after the experience we're putting them through education. I've gained a lot from this trip, from learning from others, from seeing the individuals who are working day and night to support our children, to help them be the leaders that we want to continue to see in these spaces. And I'm very grateful for that. I do all of this work from the ground in the community, and I partner with our city leaders so that they continue to understand education is one piece of the rights that we all need access to. But in order for our students to learn, they need quality healthcare, they need a place to live, they need food in their bellies, they need all of these things that often school districts are held accountable for. But with partnership, we can do both, and we can do it in a way that's equitable, and it's exactly what our children deserve. I will continue to push for this work, for us to partner with each other, for us to gain the resources that we need so that our children can succeed. Whether it's happening here in San Diego or in San Francisco, that's the work that educators do as loving and caring individuals for our children, and we'll continue to do that with you all as partners. Thank you again for all of your work and for having us here.
So we're approaching the wrapping up of our program. But again, let's take a second and think about this building, right? That building is housing children who've been separated from their parents and their families. So again, we're here to express our love and our appreciation for the organizations and individuals, volunteers who are inside that building doing their best to give a warm welcome to the children who've been separated from their families. Next, we want to invite our former school board president and now district supervisor of South and Market in San Francisco, Matt Haney.
Thank you, Larissa. I want to take a minute first and thank the women who organized this trip and brought us down here. Larissa, Ani, Gloria, Olga, thank you so much for organizing this and for your solidarity with folks here in San Diego and the work that you do every day in our community. We are here to share our love and our solidarity and our appreciation with people here on the ground. We hope that the children inside can feel our love. We hope that their families can feel our love. And we hope that the people who are welcoming them can feel our gratitude. We in San Francisco, just like everywhere in our state and everywhere across the country, are impacted directly by failed policies, by inhumane policies that separate children from their families, policies that we thought we ended when we kicked Trump out of office. We are 90 days right now into the Biden administration. This shouldn't be a Democrat or Republican issue, but we have a president right now and a vice president who we think has the opportunity to do the right thing, to keep families together. This is a basic issue of human rights, of humanity, of dignity. And when we separate families, the impacts of that are felt everywhere. But when we welcome them with compassion, with love, with support, like what the folks in there are doing inside in an incredibly unfair and unjust situation that those kids and everyone and their families are being put in, that also has long-term impacts. And so we want to say thank you, because many of these children, they may end up in San Francisco. Their families live in San Francisco. For those of us who are elected officials here, these are our constituents, and we care about them. And we're here representing the families who are in our districts to say that we see the children here. We thank you for welcoming them, and we will put the resources and the supports if they come to San Francisco to make sure that the impacts around mental health, around their education, around housing security, legal rights are taken care of as well. So we are here with you. We thank you. We share our love and solidarity, and thank you to all of the folks who are part of this caravan who joined us here, and to everyone here in San Diego and beyond who is working so hard to keep families together and support these children. Thank you.
So while we're here to talk about children separated from their families or the unaccompanied children, as the press, thank you press for being here with us. We're trying to shift the narrative to highlight the strength and the resiliency of these children and migrants who make these incredibly hard journeys. And not just Central American migrants. Yesterday we went to Tijuana and we saw Haitian brothers and sisters. We saw African migrants. We saw people who've been stranded for 3 years waiting. So when we had to stand in that line to cross back for 2 hours, that was the best line I've ever stood in my life. Honestly, I just have to say that. But again, this is the tip of the arrow. And so I'm going to take this moment to acknowledge our dreamers. Our dreamers. Woo! And Trump tried to rob that dream. And now we have to hold Biden and Harris accountable to, for once and for all, move us towards a path for permanency. No solo los dreamers, but also our TPS community, los tepecianos. They are the engine of this nation. What are you waiting for, USA? What are you waiting for? Ya basta. We need permanencia ya. We want a pathway to permanency for our dreamers, for our tepecianos, and for the 11 million people holding this nation up, risking their health to move the goods that we buy at the store, risking their health to clean the spaces that we sit in, risking their health to pick the lettuce and the tomatoes that we eat. So ya basta. We need pathway to permanency ya, ahora. So you got 10 more days, Biden Harris. 10 more days. And we also want tepecianos. We want TPS, a new designation for TPS, for the victims of the hurricanes in Central America, for Nicaraguenses, for Hondureños, Guatemaltecos, y Salvadoreños. Ya basta. We want a pathway to permanency ahora. Stop playing politics in our lives. Stop using us as political pawns. These are humans, people who are giving their everything to this nation. Their everything. So we're coming to the close.
And we want to acknowledge the organizing institutions, the anchor institutions. We have all these volunteers. Look around. Gente voluntaria que vino with amor. We got our San Diego brothers and sisters who welcomed us so well. And we're coming to the close. So thank you, Instituto Familiar de la Raza. Thank you, Galería de la Raza. Thank you, Latino Racial Equity Coalition. Latino Racial Equity Project. Thank you, Carecen. Thank you, Chicana Latina Foundation. And thank you to all the volunteers who've met every week for the last 7 months to organize this event. We are here marking the 90th day of the Biden-Harris administration. And we're heading to Washington, D.C. to join our voices with other migrant advocates and migrants from across the USA to march on May 1st in Washington, D.C. Ya basta. Stop playing politics on our backs. Stop separating our families. Let's use some imagination, some creativity, and let's show the best of this country, because the politicians do not represent the heart of this country. We know this nation is with us. We know people are ready for that pathway to permanency. And that future of millions of people is literally in the hands of 60 senators. 60 senators. So Democrats, you better toe the line, because all we need is 51. And we will not forget and we will not forgive if the Democrats break their promise. Ya basta. Camino a la permanencia, ya. So thank you, everyone. I'm going to invite Annie so we can acknowledge some other allies, and then we're going to close our program today. Muchas gracias, and thank you, press, for joining us. Thank you, Larissa. So yes, I'm just here to acknowledge it's more than just the 4 organizations. It's endless volunteers, and it also requires resources for us to be able to do this, to do it with intention, to connect with our community. We want to thank the local community for making themselves available. There were definitely key people that opened doors and made sure that we were talking to the right people, that we were spending time, even in the virtual setting. There was a lot of great work that was happening. So we want to thank Enrique Morones is one of our hosts here in San Diego that connected us. We also had folks from Casa Familiar that connected us. Families Belong Together, El Centro 32 that was over in Tijuana yesterday, and many other organizations that are with us. The people that supported this to happen, we want to thank the Hispanic Federation, the Latino Community Foundation, Alianza America, MEDA, the Mission Economic Development Agency out of San Francisco, Good Sam, Dolores Street Community Service, National Center for Lesbian Rights, Horizons Foundation, the Women's Building, Calle 24. And, when we talked about this whole project, art is at the center. And we've always placed the artist's vision as a narrative forward. So I want to really thank also the artists, the literary artists, and then the visual artist, Paola de la Calle, who's with us today, right over there. Her work launched the day 1. Can somebody lift up the Caravan for the Children poster? Her visual art was the one that really kind of set the stage for us on January 21st and what started the first Caravan. And then we kept thinking of our motto, Uncage, Reunify, and Heal. And so we wanted to play with these words. We wanted to use this reflective material that was used when these children were separated. It wasn't warmth. And we wanted to hold it as mirrors and say, this is the reality of what these kids are living. And so the vision has been, working with artists' minds and creativity. And we want to also think, none of this happens just like overnight. We have our very, very fearless and chingona teatrista stage, Bola Rubin, who made all the letters with the artists and sat with us. And how are we going to make this work? How are we going to put these words together? They're here today in San Diego. They're going to go to DC with us. We want to thank you so much, Bola, for all the dedication and just taking it. And when you bring Bola on a project, you know it's gonna get done. It's just gonna get done. And she's such a kick-ass, and we're just so thankful for all the support you give the movement and always joining. You know, you used to say we were gonna join our circus, but I think we joined your circus. So thank you. And to close, yeah, the staff, the volunteers. I know there's people that you don't see because they're behind a screen, but I have to give a shout out to those folks that are making it all happen. Henry Rivera, there's Juan Rivera. I'm sorry, I le puse Jose, Dios santo, es Juan.
It's okay, it's my middle name.
Okay, bueno,
Juan
Juan Rivera, and then Yvette Diaz, who are making it all happen, and just folks that are always steady behind and making sure we're you know going live in these days, So thank you so much. So for those that are watching or for those that are here, follow us to DC. May 1st, we're going to unveil the Quilt Project, which is Paola de la Calle's public art kind of. We're going to unveil these quilts that are going to be honoring the children, and it includes poetry, and we're doing it in the honor and following the footsteps of the AIDS Quilt Project, thinking about artists like that made art to document something so important. So follow us. Y los dejamos con una canción más de nuestros songbirds, our freedom songbirds. Adelante. Y gracias por estar con nosotros. Thank you.
And this is a song that everybody knows, so please join us in singing. Una canción que ha seguido el movimiento de nuestra gente ahí en los campos de California. De colores se visten los niños de nuestra frontera. De colores son los inmigrantes que vienen de afuera. De colores son los refugiados que vienen aquí. Y por eso los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí. Y por eso los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí.
Ok, ahí viene la parte organizativa. This is the organizing verse, because to make change, to heal, uncage, and reunify, we all gotta get organized, empezando con los gallos. Ready? Canta el gallo con el kiri, 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 kiri. But the reality of her story has shown us that it's always the gallina that gets the thing moving. Vamos! La gallina con el cara. But to make change in this world, even the chicks have to get organized. Los polluelos con el pío, 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 pío. Por eso los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí. Y por eso los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí. De colores se visten los campos en la primavera. De colores son los pajarillos que vienen de afuera. De colores es el arco iris que vemos lucir. ¡Vamos! Y por eso los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí. Y por eso los grandes
usted ahí en mí.
Se acabó.
Cambia lo superficial, cambia también lo profundo, cambia el modo de pensar, cambia todo en este mundo, cambia el clima con los años, cambia el pastor su rebaño, y así como todo cambia, que yo cambie no es extraño. Cambia el más fino brillante, de mano en mano su brillo. Cambia el nido, el pajarillo. Cambia el sentir un amante. Cambia el rumbo, el caminante. Aunque esto le cause daño. Y así como todo cambia, que yo cambie no es extraño. Cántale. Cambia, todo cambia. Cambia, todo cambia. Cambia, todo cambia. Cambia, todo cambia. Cambia el sol en su carrera cuando la noche subsiste. Cambia la planta y se viste de verde en la primavera. Cambia el pelaje la fiera. Cambia el cabello el anciano. Y así como todo cambia, que yo cambie no es extraño. Cambia, todo cambia. Cambia, todo cambia. Cambia, todo cambia. Cambia, todo cambia. Pero no cambia mi amor, por más lejos que me encuentre, ni el recuerdo ni el dolor de mi pueblo y de mi gente. Y lo que cambió ayer tendrá que cambiar mañana, así como cambio yo en esta tierra lejana. Cambia, todo cambia. 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 Everything changes.
Okay, I want everyone who's still here to come up here so we can join our voices para decirle a los niños que los queremos y que bienvenidos. So we're going to do a collective shout. So we're going to scream off the top of our lungs so hopefully the kids can hear us inside.
Let's just bum rush the door.
Okay. Juntos, una voz, y dos, y tres, y cuatro, y cinco. That's called power. Una sola voz. So everybody get over here. Come on, let's get all. We're gonna have Francisco lead us.
Todos listos. Uncage, Reunify, heal. And so it is. Bienvenidas, bienvenides. Bienvenidex, bienvenidos, bienvenidas, bienvenidos, como quieran decirlo. Listos. 1, 2, 3. Bienvenidos. One more time. Bienvenidos. Las queremos. Los queremos. Los queremos. Y ahora la orden. Uncage, Reunify, heal. Uncage, Reunify, heal. Otra. Uncage, Reunify, heal. Otra. Uncage, Reunify, heal.
¿Qué queremos? ¿Qué queremos? ¿Cuándo? ¿Cuándo? Come on, Biden Harris, you got 10 days. Gracias a todos por su amor. Our program is concluded. Viva San Diego! Awesome. Now we're going to take the donations. So thank you everyone who gave resources and time to collect beautiful toys.
Cuánta dulzura y valor de una madre y su niño que migra y camina hacia una vida mejor. If this is really the home of the brave, may our gates now be open for you. Had the courage to walk through a perilous fight with a child in your arms. Our children are safe.
son la voz de amor y nuestra conciencia, pues por la violencia cruzando está.
My mom's taking away, my pops is hating to stay. This blanket doesn't keep me warm. They got these little kids locked up like animals on a farm. The separation doesn't harm, no es justo, es un abuso y te acuso de ser sucio. Es hora de cambiar el instituto. Luchamos y aguantamos, nunca hemos sido brutos. El sistema está quebrado, hemos sido abandonados. Me siento bravo, nos tratan como esclavos y no estamos unidos en los estados. Los corazones de mi gente están maltratados.
Llenos de esperanza, una vida con ganas de amar. Son las maestras, doctores, artistas, madres, ingenieras de un mundo de paz. Nuestros niños son sagrados, bellos son.
Ha iltex tonchten qakwal hat tuyqachman bishqa chapman hatum taqpenqa yan hatum tsiunqa tohniqa alamah yan chonalchi machichaji hanqa qeit kupchichuyi qawqin qip bish qokl qipetix oqsh chawtalas tay bish oqsh chaltaqpetli